Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Talks. Leadership Talks is a podcast for emerging leaders who are on a path of transformation and are looking for ideas from leaders who have gone through the journey. Every week on Leadership Talks, we invite leaders and emerging leaders to share their self leadership journey. I'm your host, Kirandeep Sandhu, and along with me, Ashish Datta, will be hosting today's episode on leadership, empowerment, and operational efficiency, a leader's perspective.
For today's episode, we have the privilege of having with us Mr. Sambit Banerjee. Sambit is the Managing Director, Rolling Stock and Customer Services, Siemens Mobility UK. Headquartered in Munich, Germany, Siemens is a global giant in electricals and electronics, and it has footprints almost in every country of the globe. Siemens is also the largest manufacturer of industrial machinery in Europe. Sambit has had a distinguished career spanning 3 decades. A chartered accountant, he served Siemens India in various capacities, including as the head of corporate accounting and the head of financial accounting. Sambit had a brief stint with Siemens in Germany, and thereafter, since 2006, he is with Siemens UK, first as a financial controller and then moving up to finance director. And since 2019, he's heading rolling stock and customer services in Siemens Mobility as managing director. Amongst other things, Sambit loves taking those long countryside walks in Britain. Welcome, Sambit, to our show. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Sambit, and welcome
Thanks,
to Leadership Talks.
thanks, Kiran, and thanks, Ashish, for the very warm welcome. Thank you very much. Pleasure,
Yeah,
absolute pleasure to be with both
yeah,
of you.
yeah. Thank you. But Sambit, I have to first start with those countryside walks. I have seen a lot of pictures you post. You love those walks, and I want to ask you that what difference has it really made to you as a person, as well as in your leadership journey?
That's a very good question to start with, Ashish. As all know, that during our working week, we do put in extraordinarily long hours. And then there comes a time when you are finishing off the week that you need some space to reflect on things and also to take care of your health, so to keep yourself motivated for the next week. The long walk serves to me in two ways. One, it gives me fresh air. About 5-7 miles walk every Saturday, Sunday, but also gives back the quality time with my wife. She is always there with me walking, and that's the time you can talk a lot. And in a very nice, relaxed environment, you are talking about things and moving my brain away from the work pressures. And I think that is the oxygen we all need to carry with us for the next week. And that's how I've been able to sustain myself over the last 25, 30 years.
Yeah, so very true. Talk of reflection. I mean, that's a big part of leadership, is it not? Then health. You need to be agile, alert to be able to deal with, and of course, family. The time you spend is really precious. I mean, very true in that, indeed. Yeah. I want to ask you a little more about that when you talk of leadership. As we said, these are also very essential part of leadership. You'll agree, right? What
Ab-
is this?
Absolutely.
And so about leadership, and I personally feel it is not always so clear what exactly is leadership. People have different interpretations. So I'd like to ask you, in a slightly different way, this question, which is, according to you, what were those leadership myths, and how did you bust them during your leadership journey?
That's a very interesting question, and Ashish, you and me started the career together, and what we have seen leaders of a different profile and a different style of working.
Yes.
And if I reflect, went back in that, it was very, very top down leadership. And the leader says, and the rest goes, and they do the work.
Mhm.
Um, One of the things that over the period of time, what happened is leadership style has changed from where we started to what we are practicing today.
Mhm.
Today, what we are seeing is a far more collaborative, inclusive leadership style, where not only we are coaching many people or mentoring many people, we are doing reverse mentoring, reverse coaching as well. So I am learning a lot, and I open my doors to the new grads coming from the top universities in UK. Say, you are fresh. I'm 30 years rusted in my education. So give us that new things that you are learning.
Mm.
And that's to some extent, within inverted commas, I use the word autocratic style of leadership has got no place today. That is a thing of the past. It had relevance when we started, and we all seen that and lived through that. But today's is a leadership where you are a friend, philosopher, guide to the team. And the most important thing is they're accepting you for that, and not out of fear of your chair, but out
Mm.
of love and respect for what you do and how you deal with issues and topics on a day to day basis. The other big aspect, Ashish, is, as you know, and I know you as well, we are, I think, people's person. I always say this is not a mobility business. This is people business.
Mhm.
You you look after your people, and people take care of the business. There is no in between to that. And that commitment to the people, particularly to the workforce, in my case in the depots, in the bogie service centers, there are about 1200 people working. It is extraordinarily important that they view you as a guy who is inclusive, who has empathy, who has respect, who is listening to people rather than me talking more. It is for us to absorb like sponge. I tell to my leaders what the people are saying. We need to listen to them very, very carefully so
Mhm.
that we can reflect and work with those things which are coming up, and
Mm.
may be able to provide some of the solutions to some of the issues which are there. So that is where I think, Ashish, the leadership myth, so as to say, changed in this 25, 30 years from when we started, you and me started, to where we are today.
I really liked what you just said, Sambit, that it's not about the positional leadership, but it's more about people leadership. And when leaders invest in their people, learn from their people in they and what you just said, it's not about that okay, I've been in this position for 20 god years and I know it all. People who are willing to learn from new blood are those successful leaders. I was just, in fact, reading about it from uh, Elon Musk's thing that I don't have a degree in about spacecrafts, but it's all about I have the right people. I read the right books. So it's people who actually are willing to let go of those egos and learn from people and invest in those people and let the others to come forward and make the team even better. So I loved what you just said about that whole myth has changed. It doesn't work about positional leadership. It's all about people, power, and listening to the people. That's very well stated.
Absolutely, Kiran. And if I may add one more point,
Yeah, absolutely.
when we started, we had this. If there is a problem, the leader would give the solution.
Hmm.
Now you have to, when the problem is there, discuss it, allow
Yeah.
the free flow of thoughts
Yep.
from the people in that room. And
Hmm.
perhaps in most cases, a solution will come out better than what I will give. I truly believe that okay, if there is a stuck and there is some way forward, I will jump in. But my request to the future leaders are, don't be too keen to give a solution yourself. Maybe somebody has a better solution than you in that room, and he or she may not be able to give it because you have kind of pushed it through.
So that brings me to 2 points that you had actually raised over here. And I had said about one is about the ego, which you didn't use. And the other one is be a listener. So, as a leader who's out there, you need to have these top qualities if you want the team to grow along with you. Yes, Ashish, over to you.
Yeah, I think Sambit, you're right. I mean, both of us know what is top-down leadership and what is autocratic. As we started, we had good experience in that, and yes, I agree. I think that's been something which is very true. One is that collaborative atmosphere, where you give people that kind of what should I say, that cushion or the safety net to ideate, to give their views and differ with each other, because that's the only way we grow, through ideation. I think that was a key point which came from you. And the second important point is we need to be learners for life, right? I think that's the point you made. We learn from each other. It's not this, isn't it?
Exactly, absolutely, Ashish, absolutely. And you touched upon this point, which I really like. I call it environment and ecosystem. The What is our
Mhm.
job as leaders? We have many aspects, but one of the thing is to create the right kind of environment and culture in the organization. So
Oh,
people are feeling very comfortable to come there, express and grow and flourish. And that is, as you know, is always perhaps one of the biggest challenges in the corporate, is how to strike the right balance to keep the environment and culture, which is so all encompassing, collaborative, so that people can thrive there. And I think that is something which is extraordinarily important for if you want to be successful as a leader.
so, Ashish, I'm going to jump in over here about the
Yeah.
culture part about it. When I'm going to ask Samir that, Samir, you've been leading this Siemens team for many years. You just shared with us that it's nearly been 25 years that you've been part of Siemens. So, congratulations, first of all, on that. But now you touched on that aspect of culture and how to create the right culture. Would you be able to share with our viewers, our listeners today, that as a leader, especially now that you're and as a leader with Siemens, how have you been able to create the right culture in the organization? Because culture is one of the pillars of leadership.
So I'll start with a Siemens business conference, which Ashish knows happens in Berlin every year. I think it was if I remember correctly, 2015, when our global CEO, Joe Kaiser, stood up, and he was talking about strategy, and he said, something, we can talk a lot about strategy, but if the culture is not right, we will not get there. And he used a phrase which is very commonly used, that culture will eat strategy for breakfast. So you can strategize a lot, you can have the brilliant brains, the brilliant innovations, but if the culture of the organization is not right, you will not achieve anything. And we have embarked on a journey from there on to create across the globe. And in my business, I can tell you, I have a person dedicated who works for me, only looking after cultural work streams around the, because culture is like a free flowing river. It is not frozen in time. So people will come, new minds, new ideas, new behaviors, new ways of working. We have to adapt ourselves to that. The organization needs to adapt to that. Otherwise, the organization will be behind that thing. But what is very important is that what kind of environment you are trying to create. So if there is a problem, is there a blame culture? Are we trying to trying to pin down the guy who has done the mistake? Or are we saying that, okay, the mistake has happened, we will solve it together? So that is a huge shift in the mood of the organization, because people, particularly when you are working in research and development, I encourage people to fail, because if you fail in three research development projects, then the fourth one would be that one. And in Siemens, we are. absolutely outstanding in technology, but
Mm.
not every project takes off the ground. We have to encourage people to working, because the fear of failure is the worst fear.
Mm.
We will win some, we will lose some. That's the nature of the game. But
Mm.
how do we manage when we are not winning is the most important aspect of culture. And I can give you example. I have always stood up if there has something gone wrong in the business. Maybe if we have not won a very big bid, I said, I'm responsible, guys. Then the matter finishes there. There is nobody below who is getting affected. Nobody is
Mhm.
paying attention, because according to them, the boss has owned it up. And by
Yeah.
that, I'm giving a signal as well. Be accountable, own up. Nothing will happen. We'll talk about it. We'll find a solution. But
Mm.
don't try to pinpoint the next guy or the other department for anything that is not happening well. And that sends the cultural tone. And slowly people start believing, look, if we make a mistake, we will not be beaten to death by the management.
Mm.
They are going to support us. And I think one of the things which I have always done is I have tried, all the success to be enjoyed by the team. But if they're
Mhm.
in difficulty, to be quietly standing with them, by them, behind them in that difficult phase. Just to say, I'm there. If you need me, I'm there. They are brilliant. They know how to do the job. They know the solutions themselves. But not to give them a eerie kind of feeling that, look, will they, kind of tear us apart in the management review tomorrow? And the answer is no, we are not. We will work together to find a solution. And once that tone is set, then
Mhm.
rest is easy, because it is all about the team. Then the team is right behind you through
Mhm.
thick and thin. They know we are one team. Sometimes we will lose a game, many a times we'll win a game, but there is no ill feeling or no animosity going on, or no blame culture. I use this word blame culture a lot in corporate, because I have seen people, she's has seen people, if something has gone wrong, immediately two, three names are uttered. And, it's up to us as leaders how we react and react. If we immediately pick up the phone and start talking to those guys, you have made the first mistake. If you're then
Mhm.
trying to find who made the mistake, you
Mhm.
second mistake, rather than let's find a solution. We know where we are. What is the gateway out from this situation? And I think that is, to me, sets the tone, the mood of the culture, and the people, and that in my eyes is the key to success.
I just love what you just shared with us, and the whole part when I'm looking at your profile, a few things popped up: team player, innovation, risk taking, and I would also now just say, by after listening to you, it's all about being transparent and authentic, and actually leading the team from front with them and behind them, and that gives out the right signals as a leader. So no matter, and what you said in the beginning, have those listening ears, because if you're not listening, you won't be finding those solutions. You're always looking for the problems. So Sambit, you have actually, just by sharing this story about how you are creating that right culture, it actually reflects on you as a leader, which you see that you're a team player, you're a leader, you're a strategic thinker, you are into innovation, and all is actually blending back together. Thank you so much for adding all that.
Yeah, I would like to add to that that I think Sambit, what you did, you told us what a leader should do. It's not about theory. Just put it down clearly what you should do when you have to build culture. Because culture is always a little confusing. Okay, how do I build culture? Is it the directors? Is it the company founders who do it? It's a process which goes on with every leadership. Each one is a part of the culture. And I think you brought that out so well in terms of that. Thank you.
And
I don't
invest
Thank
know.
you.
and actually having a person to support you
Right. Oh, yes, of
the right
course.
culture. That was a very good point, because a lot of people say, I'm trying to create the right culture, but are you investing in the culture so that you can adapt to those changes? So that is a really right signal, Sambit, you are sharing with our emerging leaders on how they can address the issue of culture. We can just say, our team is very, we have the right culture. but are you actually having the right culture? That's a question mark. So thank you for
Yeah, it's
sharing.
a walking the talk, That's what he very clearly Sambit has
Very
done.
nice. I loved it. Yes.
Yeah. So Sambit, we've come a long way since 1992. We've gone through different journeys in it. I'd like to talk a little and know more about your self-leadership journey.
Mhm.
I'm sure it was not a bed of roses. You went through different areas to be the kind of leader that you are today. So can you tell us what are the kind of, because challenges are inevitable. It will come our way. So we have to be prepared. So what are the kind of challenges you faced and how did you go about overcoming them to becoming that great leader as you are today?
First of all, Ashish, many and Kiran, many thanks for your kind words. To I think it's your fondness and love towards me that makes you make those
We're
comments.
enjoying this conversation, and our listeners are probably going to take so
Yeah.
much away from it. So thank you again, Sambit.
Thank you. So, you see, I have always done a few things in my life. One is I have always recruited people who are smarter and better than me in my team. That's a sure shot to success because the people who are working for you are much better than you. I've always maintained that how I know to manage the leadership team will be judged by my superiors whether I'm a good manager or not. But it's very interesting, Ashish. I did some work in this area. It's empirically, it is roughly about 80% of the managers when they are going through recruitments, they try to select a person who are either like them or slightly not because they feel threatened, they feel challenged. I never felt threatened or challenged in my life, in spite of working with people who were absolutely outstanding. And they have gone up also within the companies to make outstanding careers. The second biggest challenge came to me, Ashish, was um, when I was moving from the CFO side to the CEO side.
Yeah.
Now, Siemens is an engineer's paradise. It's an engineering company, and Ashish knows there
Yeah.
are very few CEOs who are non-engineers. Yeah, so you have to walk through fire to prove your capability in terms of running the business. I do not have any engineering capability. I have the experience of working with some outstanding engineers in my life and I've learned from them and I learned from them even today. And to me that was quite a big challenge because you are leading a technology company and you need to bring your um, intellectual level up to the speed so that you can talk about your product, about your innovation in a very informed way. So that definitely, and I'm still learning. I think I'm in the scale of 100 to 10, maybe somewhere at 10 or 20 in that journey. But as you said, this journey never ends. You are continuously learning through the process. The other big thing challenge was, as all of us was a doer in one part of our life, and from a doer we became a senior leader. So how to delegate more, how to give away was a big paradigm to cross. And something, we all tend to do things, so there is something, okay, I can do that. And now how you let your team do it is a huge challenge actually in leadership, because to me, Kiran and Ashish, many leaders cannot give away that trait. You have to empower your people, delegate, and they will do a fine job. You be there when you are required, but you don't need to micromanage them or instruct them what to do. So that is something which I had to work on, I would say, from the around 2000, I would say 5 6 onwards, where how I position myself into more strategic aspects of the business.
Mhm.
So the long-term vision and the key focus areas of the business, and try to reduce my day-to-day content, transactional content, to a bare minimum. And honestly, that the teams are so capable, they can almost do it everything themselves. So that was also quite a challenge in my leadership journey. And then, last but not the least, to be accepted by the industry in UK. I'm not of course, now I'm a British citizen for many years, but I'm not a origin. I'm from India, so you will be tested in every forum, whether it's a leadership forum, industry forum, in the government forum, and they will look at what are you bringing on the table. And if you
Mhm.
go and do not bring the value add, I don't think you will be able to make credible inroads in the industry houses anywhere in the world. This is applicable to India, this is applicable to Malaysia, anywhere.
Mhm. Mhm.
So these are the few observations from my side in terms of challenges, if I may say so.
You've all actually, I was going to be asking about how you build resilient teams, but you've already embedded it into that whole conversation, that it's all about empowerment and how leaders actually have to, from becoming the doers, to letting people do it for you and not be micromanaging it. And that actually gives people that everyone has the chance to bring the best to the table. And is that exactly so? I think that you've already.
Absolutely, and I would just add two things here, if I may, Kiran.
Yeah.
One is your philosophy. If you
Mm.
want to be a good leader, you need to have a philosophy. That
Mhm.
philosophy you need to build up together with your team. You cannot run alone with a flag, and the people are not coming with you. So you need to build that philosophy up together.
Mm.
I have always mentioned, in every time I have spoken, I am a product of my bosses. There are bosses, global bosses, who have, so the global CFO of Siemens AG, the global CFO of Siemens Mobility, have huge impacts in my career. They have molded me, coached me, mentored me in that whole process. But what they have given me, most importantly, is to build up my own philosophy. So they said, you have the freedom, you are a man of your own, you are different from us. The core is this: build up the philosophy yourself. The
Mm.
the other is the your strength of your character and conviction. Because when you are a leader, you will face challenges. But
Mm.
how you can face it will be demonstrated by your leadership style. And if you are, I'm giving example, if you are, say, one day say yes, the second day say no, the third day say yes, the fourth day, then people say, hey, come on guys, you are flip-flopping, flip-flopping, flip-flopping. You need to hold your thought when you arrive at it with your team. And there were, coming back to the challenges here, and there were times when, say, we are doing an initiative, there were many who didn't like what we are trying to do. But if you, your team, and your manager are completely aligned that that's the right thing, we have thought it through, we have tested it, now we are going to do it, then it becomes a lot easier, because then you are not fighting alone, you're fighting as one team. So these are the two more things I would add, because leadership is all about character. I always give this analogy, like a cricket captain. uh,
Mhm.
you need not be the best player. Saurav Ganguly was not the best player of the Indian cricket team, but he is perhaps the greatest captain the world have ever seen, because of his
Mhm.
character. What he used to bring on in the team is that character, that we can win together. And if you lose, I give you the chance to play 5, 6, 8 more games. So don't worry about it at all. And I've replicated it a lot, actually.
I loved it, Ashish. We're going to be running
Yeah,
short, so
yeah.
it was amazing. You've shared a lot about how you have built these teams, given the power to the teams, and grown with the teams, and pushed them that they know that there is no fear of failure. Yes. So over to you, Ashish.
So, Sambit, yeah, I'd like to go back to where we all started as a chartered accountant. Operational and financial efficiency are so very important. Profitability, the numbers. How do you mesh that with culture, growth, and people?
So, numbers in isolation do not mean anything.
Mm.
First of all, in a outcome of a number is a sum total of the effort that the people are putting together. And the most important thing is it needs to be achievable and believable, Ashish. Sometimes, as both of us know, people put up numbers which heart of heart people say, no, can't even do that. Let's not even try. So don't go for it, which is the art of impossible, but make it realistic. Please give a stretch because you want everybody to walk the extra mile, but also remain true, close to the ground that it is achievable. Ultimately, we are in a corporate setup. We are serving our shareholders, and there is a huge amount of capital which has been invested in each of our business. So there has to be a return on investment in terms of dividends, in terms of growth, in terms of market share, etc. But my experience is if you grow the people, people grow the business. So you chart out career plans for the people. You show them that they can grow in 3, 5, 7, 10 years. They automatically take the business along with them because they're motivated. They want to do more. They know that if they walk the extra mile, their careers will grow. So it is the numbers in my head are intricately linked with people. When you are looking at productivity initiatives, if people are not buying into productivity initiatives, this will not happen. This will remain into a lot of Excel or PowerPoint presentations and then end up nowhere. But productivity can come from the people if they feel they are part of it, if they can see there's a benefit to them, and then that productivity, when they result into good numbers, into margin and profit, the company grows. So I have always tried that route, and with God's grace, so far it worked very well. I have to say so.
Yeah, sum total of all the efforts. I think that's the key word I get of it. It's just not the numbers, it's how it all meshes together. So very true, Sambit. So well put, I would say. So, yeah, we are coming almost to the end of the talk show. One last question I have for you is that what is that message you want to give the emerging leaders of today?
Be fearless. Fear brings down people. Be innovative. Work with the changing times. If you don't change with times, the times will change you.
Mhm, mhm.
And there is only one way you can be successful. Love, love people, be close to them. Proximity, fondness is extremely important. If you are close to your people, the people will give you the result. It is such a give and take relationship that it is unbelievable. And that is my advice, a little bit of guidance to the young leaders, and be yourself. Don't try to be a Kiran, a Sambit, or a Ashish. We are what we are. You will be a leader with your individuality, with your individual traits. You please don't try to copy anybody. You can maybe take one or the other leadership traits from us, but the originality should be yours. And I think if you're an original leader, then you are very well accepted in the team. That's what I have always felt like.
Thank
Yeah,
you so much. Sabit, there are so many takeaways for our viewers, our listeners today. I mean, even your final message, although for me personally, the three ones that I mean, I would now add in the be unique also into it. But when I
Exactly.
have to just sum up the show, a few things that really popped up for me is be a leader who works in with the team to make them believe that don't go into fear zone. You can innovate and let's bring the best onto the table because nobody is above others. We are all here because we work as a team. The number two lesson that I've picked up from you is that invest in the culture because once your team knows that you want that culture where they feel it's a collaborative culture, everyone will try to bring their best game. And third is be a lifelong learner. So, with that, I want to say, Sambit, thank you so much for joining us today on Leadership Talks for Emerging Leaders. Thank you to our listeners for being with us today and taking these leadership lessons with Sambit. We'll be back next week with another leader sharing their self leadership journey. Follow us on our Leadership Card Facebook page and tune in to Leadership Talks for Emerging Leaders on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. This is your host, Kirandeep Sandhu, signing off with Ashish Tata. Thank you, Sambit, for being part
Thank
of
you.
this.
Thank you so much, Kiran. Thank you so much, Ashish. It was an absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.